Just a quick update, the Patreon page is now live. The link will be down below if you want to check it out. You'll have access to all of my betting packages and much more. Thanks again for all the support, but for now, let's get into the video.
Yo, what's up, guys? We're back, and this week it's for a huge card, man. UFC 257, Conor McGregor, he's making his return. He's going to be taking on Dustin Poirier, who we all know about Dustin, too, man. So that's an amazing main event. We got Dan Hooker welcoming Michael Chandler to the UFC, so another sick fight there. I mean, just a loaded card, man. A really good pay-per-view to start off the year. And, there was a really good card yesterday, with Michael Chiesa taking on Neil Magny, and Chiesa came through. He did well on the bets, things like that. So really appreciate everyone that signed up for the Patreon, and hopefully we can get some more of you guys to come over there and sign up. It's going to be a lot of good content coming over there as well. And just make sure to comment, like, subscribe on the channel. I want to know what you guys think about the main event. Like, do you guys think Dustin has a chance? He's a live dog. What do you think about the odds? Things like that. So put that in the comments below, and really appreciate it. But we're going to get into it. The first fight of the night here with Amir Albazi taking on Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And Amir Albazi, I mean, he looked good in his UFC debut. He dispatched Malcolm Gordon very easily, finished him in the first round, and he has a good record. He's 13-1. His only loss is also against Shorty Torres, who fought in the UFC, has a very good record. And Albazi, he's getting a significant step up in competition. He's going to take on Zhalgas Zhumagulov here, who is a former Fight Nights Global Champion, pretty experienced guy. And Albazi is a grappler, but his striking is pretty good as well. He's big for the division. He's going to be taller, longer than most of his opponents. He has good movement. He has a pretty good jab, and he likes to, jab the body a lot. He throws a lot of body shots, throws good 1-2s. He'll throw a, jab overhand right. Really good uppercut he throws. And, he's hurt several opponents with his uppercut. It's pretty sharp. He'll throw some good front knees up the middle, some good, round kicks, front kicks. We even mix in some spinning kicks, and good at feinting level changes, freezing guys, coming back up with punches. But the issue, a little bit with the striking is he does drop his hands. He is there to be hit, and he has gotten dropped before because of that. He will also overextend on the jab a little bit. And, Shorty Torres was able to counter his jab with overhands, with hooks. And Albazi did get hurt several times in that fight, but he was able to quickly recover, showed great cardio, and, really good heart. He's never been finished. And he's a super strong, aggressive grappler. 4 of his last 5 wins have been first-round submissions. And he's good at timing his level changes, good takedowns in the clinch. I would say he's much better with his Greco wrestling than his freestyle, but he does have good timing on the level changes, and he hit a good single leg against Malcolm Gordon. I've seen a couple fighters, counter a single leg with the Wizard and put him on his back, but he's very aggressive, even in his guard, and he'll also look for submissions from everywhere, man. I mean, from bottom, from top position, from the clinch, from standing. So if you put him on his back, he's even dangerous there. And, his thing, though, is to take the back. He has, that long, lengthy reach, and, he's pretty, good at getting that body triangle in. And from there, has great control. He's hunting that rear naked choke, and he's usually taking that neck home, and at least he's usually keeping his opponent there for the rest of the round if he doesn't take that neck home. So he's someone that if he takes your back, it's bad news for you. And, he has some other submissions he'll go to, from off of his back as well and from on top. So he's a guy that's well-rounded with the submission game. He's only been to decision, I believe, 1 time in 14 fights. Or actually 2 times, my bad. And he actually has 4 knockouts and 8 submissions. So he's definitely a finisher. And for Zhalgas Zhumagulov, he's more of a guy that likes to go to decision. You see right there, 9 of his last 10 fights have gone to decision. And he was unsuccessful in his UFC debut. He had a decent showing, but fought a really tough guy in Julianna Paiva, lost a close decision there. And Zhumagulov, he's proven he's around the top 15. He has good victories over guys like Ali Bagotinov, Tagir Ulanbekov, Tyson Nam. Even though a lot of those were controversial wins, he still is able to, say he has that W on his record. But I think he needs a win here to avoid getting cut, because starting 0-2 at the flyweight division is not good. And to me, Zhumagulov has kind of a boring style. He's low volume. He has decent boxing. He switches stances, but just isn't dangerous or very fun to watch to me. You know, he really only looks for the left hook. He goes to the well with it over and over, and it definitely is his money punch. He'll throw, kicks to left, low kicks to left hooks, or vice versa. And, decent body attacks. He'll close the distance with body shots, then come up into hooks, uppercuts, and decent forward pressure. He cuts the cage off pretty well. Pretty good head movement and defense overall, but just low volume, and he walks forward in straight lines. He gets hit coming in. Sometimes he'll mix in some level changes, and he's a pretty well-rounded guy. He has pretty good grappling. He has decent double legs, and but he only has one career submission, so even when he gets on top, he doesn't really do much with the top control. He just kind of, hangs out there. He did hit a pretty nice little foot sweep takedown against Julianna a couple times. He has, I would say, above average takedown defense, but he's been taken down and controlled in rounds of fights, and he's good on the mat. He has pretty good get-ups, but his last loss was due to getting grinded out. But in this fight, I think that he obviously needs to be careful not to give his back or get taken down against a guy that's a really good grappler like Amir Albazi. Zhumagulov, he does have good cardio, and I don't know if he has, it's hard to say he has good cardio because he's so low output, but he fights to his pace and he can go hard all 3 rounds. And I'm not super confident on either side in this fight because Zhalgas is a tricky guy, but I feel Albazi should be the favorite. I do think Zhalgas has the better striking. He's going to be looking for his counters, but his style is very basic, predictable. Albazi needs to try to stay a bit sharper on the feet, but if he just avoids the left hook, he'll be competitive, and I just think he's going to throw more strikes, be the aggressor, be the guy going forward. If he can keep the pressure and get Zhumagulov against the cage, I think he'll be able to control him there, maybe take him down, maybe take the back. My pick's going to be Albazi. If he doesn't get the first round submission, I think it could be a close decision win for him, so I'm not totally discounting Zhalgas here. He's tough to finish and may try to get some takedowns of his own, but I think Albazi would just outwork him if it goes longer. So for me, the pick is going to be Amir Albazi. In this next fight, we have kind of an interesting fight in my opinion. I feel it's lined maybe a little bit incorrectly, with Movsar Evloev coming in over a 5-1, almost 5.5-1 favorite, and he's going to be coming in here taking on Nick Lentz. And I will say right off the bat, there's a couple things that favor Nick Lentz because, he was supposed to fight here a couple weeks ago, I believe, or even last week maybe, against Mike Grundy, and he had a full camp, whereas Evloev, he's just jumping in here, I believe, on 2 weeks' notice, and he was supposed to fight Nate Landwehr a while back, but that's been a little while now, so this fight's also going to be at 150 pounds, where, a lot of people say Movsar Evloev is a small guy. He could maybe go to 135. Nick Lentz has fought at 155, won some fights against some pretty big guys like Scott Holtzman. So I do think that he's going to be the bigger guy in there. The 5 pounds probably will help him be a little bit, have a little bit more size on Movsar. But ultimately, when I look at this fight, I think both these guys kind of have similar styles where they are very grappling based, wrestling based, but they tried to round out their skills, and they kind of have a tricky striking style where they, like Nick Lentz, he more switches stances, uses a lot of kicks, and Evloev, he's rounded out his game with the Tiger Muay Thai, forward pressure, good boxing. And then both these guys, can wrestle, man, and they have pretty good submission skills. Evloev, he's more of a grinder. He's more of a guy that, he takes you down. If you get back up, he mat returns you, gets you tired, and then eventually, wins a decision. Whereas Nick Lentz, really opportunistic guy with the front chokes. He's always looking for the, submission, and he also can get on top of you and grind for 3 rounds too, or grind you against the cage. So it's a good test for Movsar Evloev here, but I just feel like when you look at it, I think that Nick Lentz obviously is getting up there in age. He's going to be 10 years older than Evloev here. I think that it's going to be, fairly competitive, maybe for a little bit, the first 3-4 minutes of the fight. But I think once Evloev starts to land his shots, he might start to wear on Nick Lentz a little bit. I think that Evloev could also get a couple of takedowns. We've seen guys like Islam be able to take down Nick Lentz, control him. And I don't know if Evloev's going to be able to control Nick Lentz, but could mix it up, hit some takedowns, keep Nick Lentz guessing. He has the reach advantage. I think that, he probably has the speed and cardio advantage. So I'm going to go with Movsar Evloev. I just feel like he's going to be a little bit too much for Nick Lentz here, and it's probably going to be a decision win for him. Man, up next here we got Andrew Sanchez taking on Makhmud Muradov, and this is a fight that a lot of people seem like they're very confident on Makhmud Muradov. It seems like a lot of people are very high on this guy, Makhmud Muradov. They think he's going to, potentially be in the top 10, top 5, fight for the belt, things like that. And, he has recently gone to Ankos MMA, which I believe that's a big thing that you have to talk about here, because that's the gym that has, Marcin Tybura, who, had a perfect 4-0 at heavyweight last year, a 5-0, I can't remember. They also have Jan Blachowicz, the current UFC light heavyweight champion. So they've been doing very well over there. And Muradov's now over there training with them. So he's definitely going to be getting better, things like that. But, I will say, I think this is a lot closer fight than people give credit to, because Andrew Sanchez is a guy that's very skillful, even on the feet. He obviously has that great wrestling background, good jiu-jitsu pedigree. He's never been taken down, and he's a grinder. He could put you against the cage. He could take you down, and, he has good forward pressure. And the thing about Andrew Sanchez is he's pretty skillful on the feet with his distance control. He's always looking to land that right hand. In his last fight, his striking looked better than ever. He was switching stances, looked loose, and landed that big shot down the pipe that knocked out Wellington Turman. So if he can use that forward pressure in this fight against Muradov, back him up, and eat the shots that Muradov has to offer, because we've seen Muradov get tired, like in that Chirico fight, by getting pushed back. So that has to be the game plan for Sanchez. And Sanchez, I feel like he could potentially do that, because he has had trouble with fighters, like when he fought Marvin Vettori, that through punches and bunches, they kind of froze him, and he was trying to counter or just couldn't go first, couldn't get off. So Marvin was just out voluming him and, landing and moving. But Muradov's more of a guy that doesn't throw a lot of combinations. He'll throw, these long straight shots. He's very fast. He's mobile, really good at controlling distance himself, and he's always looking to land the crosses, land the head kicks, body kicks, and, very explosive guy. He's going to have the speed advantage. He's probably going to have the technical boxing advantage and even the kicking advantage. But, if Andrew Sanchez can make it ugly, put him against the cage, get him in that clinch, hit him with some dirty boxing, get him tired, then the striking could become much closer, because Muradov is a guy that does hold his hands low. Both these guys do. But, I feel like Muradov, if he starts to get teed off on with some big shots, then maybe Andrew could potentially mix it up, start to hit the takedowns, which Makhmud Muradov is also a guy that likes to wrestle. In a lot of his fights, you see him, hitting takedowns and, getting on top, controlling people. And, he has really good ground and pound as well. So I feel like the guy that's more dangerous if they get on top is actually Muradov. But, obviously Andrew Sanchez, he's never been taken down. So that's going to be easier said than done. Another thing is both these guys kind of get tired. Andrew Sanchez, he's known to gas out, like I've been saying. I feel like Muradov did get tired in his fight against Alessio Chirico. So, this is an interesting matchup here. It's a good test for Muradov, because I feel like, Andrew Sanchez is a tough guy. He has power and he has the wrestling. So if he can get his grappling game going, he may be able to give Muradov a lot of trouble. But I think that Muradov, if he has this speed advantage that I think he does, it could control the distance. He'll probably be able to get his range faster than Andrew, start to pot shot, and then from there just maybe take over the fight. Maybe Sanchez could win the third round or something, but I think Muradov maybe will be already too far ahead. I don't really see a big crazy knockout from either of these guys like they both had in their last fights, but I think it's more going to be a grinding maybe not grinding, but a close fight that's competitive, and they're both kind of, it's a dog fight, So I'm gonna go with Muradov, but I do think that Sanchez is a live underdog in that one. Man, up next here we got Khalil Rountree taking on Marcin Prachnio, and I don't have much to say about this one. I think we all know what we're going with in this one. Even you guys, I think, probably could predict this fight pretty easily. We got Marcin Prachnio taking on Khalil Rountree, like I said, and Marcin Prachnio, he's had 3 fights in the UFC, 3 first-round knockout losses. Khalil Rountree, he's kind of a hard guy to trust, where he has been contemplating retirement. He's always kind of been better at being the hammer than the nail, and you've seen him just be very sometimes nonchalant in certain fights, have bad performances, so he's hard to truly trust. But with this fight where he's taking on Marcin Prachnio, man, one thing you could say about Khalil Rountree that he does have is one-punch knockout power. He's pretty accurate. He's dangerous in that first round. All 5 of his knockout wins are in that round, and I just feel like Marcin Prachnio, man, when you see him strike, he comes in with his hands down. He's throwing these wild looping shots, kicks, and he has a chance to land a knockout, I guess. A slim one, but he's so vulnerable, man, whereas I think Khalil's a better athlete. He's bigger, much better striker. He's not going to be able to take Khalil Rountree down. Prachnio, I've seen him in fights. He has bad cardio, so it's not like he's going to be able to drag him to deep waters and start to take over on the feet or anything. I don't think has the fight IQ to keep him on the outside, and he doesn't even have the reach advantage. Rountree has also been very successful against southpaws, so I think Rountree's going to knock him out in the first round. I just feel like there's levels, and Rountree's on a different level than Marcin Prachnio, so I got Rountree all day in this one. This is another fight that's interesting fight here with Julianna Pena taking on Sara McMann. 2 grinders, 2 grapplers. And for Sara McMann, we all know the Olympic silver medalist. She's making a return. She's trying to make it 2 in a row. She did get back to her winning ways, pretty dominant fashion. She smashed Lena Landsberg about a year ago. She is 40 years old now, so this is going to be something that you have to take into account. It's also her first fight outside of North America. But to me, she's getting a solid matchup here. She takes on a fellow grappler in Julianna Pena. And Julianna Pena, she's jumping right back in the cage. She's trying to rebound from her loss in November where, she looked like she was on the way to victory. She had the momentum. And unfortunately for her, she got submitted by a kickboxer in Joanne. And it was a, very surprising submission there. But that was late in the 3rd round of a fight that Pena was looking good in, so Pena can't take huge amount of flack in that one, but she has been submitted in 2 of her last 3 fights now. And looking at this matchup, we know Julianna Pena is going to be the one that has the gas tank, the one that's going to be able to be there in the later rounds better than McMann most likely, but in terms of the matchup, man, I feel like McMann should win this fight all day. She's the way better athlete. I feel like she's the better striker. She hits harder. Julianna Pena did have success hurting Jermaine Durandamy with some punches in their fight, but that was more because of the threat of the takedown. Where with Sara McMann, man, I don't think she's going to take down Sara McMann. I could be surprised, but I don't think she's going to take down Sara McMann. And, when I watched Jessica in certain fights, man, or Julianna, she's been ragdolled in certain fights. Like when she was fighting Kat Zingano, she was getting thrown around easily in the clinch. Her takedown defense doesn't look very good. Even against Tico Montano, she was getting, taken down in certain instances. And in the clinch, I feel like McMann will be able to take down Pena at will. And it's just going to be from there if Pena's going to be able to use her jiu-jitsu game out bottom and scrambling ability to make McMann work enough to get her tired and submit her, or to sweep her and get on top and start to do her game. But I'm not sure about that. I just feel like, McMann's going to probably be able to get on top and control, be able to stay on top and win at least 2 rounds. And, the girls that have given McMann a lot of trouble are people that, have really good bottom games and submission attacks, whereas Julianna Pena is more of a top game player. I don't really necessarily see her getting a lot of top position on Sara McMann. I don't think that she's going to be able to put the damage on McMann on the feet. I feel like if anything, McMahon's going to be the better striker if they keep it standing. Unless McMann just looks terrible because of the weight cut and coming overseas and all that, then I think she's going to be ready to go. And I just see her being the superior grappler, controlling Pena on the ground and just dominating the fight. So I'm going to go with Sara McMann. I think she's going to win a dominant decision here. I like this fight right here. And this next one, we got Brad Tavares taking on Shoeface Antonio Carlos Jr. And Tavares, I mean, he needs a win here, man. He needs to get back on the right track. His last two fights have been his beatdown that he took at the hands of Israel Adesanya, and then the fight where he got dusted in the first round against Edmund Shabazian. So he definitely needs to win here. He hasn't fought much in recent years. He's battled a lot of injuries. He's fought just 2 times in almost 3 years, and he's once again taken over a year away from the octagon before this fight. But Tavares, he is a veteran. He's a guy that's fought a lot of times in the UFC, has a lot of big wins, so you can never count him out. And he's a skillful striker. He's going to be the better striker here technically. He has a great jab, good low kicks, and, he throws, double jabs. He'll throw a lot of 1-2s. His left hook is nice. He has a nice left hook straight right hand, and he throws some good combinations, good feints. He controls distance well, good lateral movement, good footwork. And he doesn't really have a big one-shot power, but he's more of an accumulation guy. He doesn't have a super high output, but he throws enough to keep you honest. And, in certain fights, though, he seems to be a little bit stiff if you force him to throw shots in the pocket. Israel Adesanya, targeted his body and really slowed him down. And he definitely uses a high guard, Tavares, so he is susceptible to those body shots, straight shots up the middle, knees, front kicks, but overall, he is hard to hit to the head, and he's going to be the superior striker if he can use his footwork and keep the range. But, he's taken a lot of damage in his last 2 fights, and against Edmund Shabazian, he did get knocked out pretty viciously in the first round. Tavares does have 6 knockouts in his career. And he's not an offensive wrestler, but he's been pretty good in the clinch. He will, work short shots from there. In this fight, I don't suggest him to be in the clinch at all. And as far as his last 10 fights, he only has 5 takedowns. Don't necessarily see him trying to get takedowns in this fight. He's going to be trying to use that takedown defense. And he has good takedown defense. He has a great sprawl. He digs underhooks well. He's good at disengaging with, shots off the break. And when opponents try to clinch with him, he will let his hands go in combination, body head, and try to force the disengagement. And, he'll try to hit switches, try to be scrappy if you do take him down. But, in this fight, I feel like he's going to really have to try to keep Shoeface off of him. Because Antonio Carlos Jr., he's one of the best grapplers in the UFC. He's fallen on hard times lately himself. He's lost the last 2 fights, but those fights have been by decision, so he hasn't been taking the same kind of damage that Brad Tavares has. He hasn't fought in over a year himself, but his last loss was controversial. He lost a split decision to Uriah Hall. But Carlos Jr. is big. He moves well. I wouldn't say he's the greatest athlete, but, for his size, he's deceptively athletic. And his striking, he's a forward pressure striker. He just tries to, use a nice jab, 1-2. And his straight right hand has power. He also has some good kicks. And, he just basically tries to use that to back you up against the cage. I will say, when he fought Tim Bosch in some of his more recent fights, he's looked more comfortable exchanging, more comfortable in the pocket. But obviously, if Tavares can keep it on the feet, he's going to be able to find holes in the defense and start to exploit Carlos Jr. a little bit. So Carlos Jr. is obviously going to want to get it in the clinch and try to hit the takedowns, where he's one of the best jiu-jitsu fighters in the sport. And, he doesn't really have the best takedowns, but he has pretty good body locks. He'll get the double underhooks, put you against the cage, look, play with the legs, look for trips, try to take the back. Good doubles against the cage. And, once he gets on top, man, he has excellent guard passing ability. He has, good arm triangles. He uses submissions to open up passing abilities. So, you'll use the arm triangle to, get to side control or take the mount. He has a good back mount. And once he takes the back, he has really good rear naked chokes. So I think ACJ is going to get this one done. He's huge for the division. In my opinion, the guy who's more explosive is also ACJ. Tavares, he has a flat-footed style where he likes to use forward pressure, low kicks, jabs to keep opponents at bay, look for that cross, and he doesn't really have great movement. He isn't a guy that I think is going to be able to stick and pot shot on the outside. Tavares doesn't have huge power either. I think ACJ will be able to use his striking to get inside, eat a couple shots if he has to, and from there I think he's going to be the more physical fighter. I could see him hitting takedowns against the cage. I've seen some things that make me feel Brad Tavares could give up his back to ACJ, and if that happens, the round and maybe the fight could be over. I just don't see Tavares being able to keep ACJ off of him. I think, Tavares has never been submitted, but hasn't fought a fighter like Shoeface. He did fight a out of their prime Talis Latus, but Shoeface is fresher, a different kind of grappler, and I'm actually going to go with Antonio Carlos Jr. via second round rear naked choke in this one. In this next fight, we have two of the best and younger prospects in the UFC, in Arman Tsarukyan and Nasrat Haqparast, and kind of a contrast in styles, but when you look at Arman, man, he's well-rounded. He can strike, he can grapple, and in his last fight, he showed up for striking more. He was very fluid, really good distance control, really great footwork, showed good fight IQ. He didn't allow himself to get engaged into that brawl that Davi Hamas wanted him to get into, and he was just able to keep that range. He controlled the distance with his straight shots. He was able to use a lot of kicks. He's very fluid and just didn't let Davi Hamas get on the inside of his range where he just pot shotted him all night, and he even hit some takedowns, controlled Davi on top, which is something that is impressive because Davi Hamas is an elite jiu-jitsu guy, so for him to even have the confidence to take him down and want to control him in his guard is, pretty good for a young kid like that. And, Nasrat Haqparast, he's a guy that came into the UFC as well with a lot of hype. He still has a lot of hype. He's won 4 of his last 5 fights, but, having that loss to Drew Dober did slow him down a little bit, and he is getting a second chance here in terms of his camp. His TriStar did fight Tsarukyan with OAM, and they had some success. OAM won that second round, landed a lot of body shots to a Tsarukyan, so I feel like maybe they're going to try to implement that same kind of game plan. Pressure, body shots, try to defend the takedown, obviously, and outstrike him. But, we've seen Nasrat Haqparast get taken down by Marcin held, get controlled against the cage. We've seen him, get wild, get hurt by guys that aren't really great strikers like Thibaut Gucci, get knocked out. So I just feel like Arman Tsarukyan is the more polished, well-rounded guy. I see him potentially being the better striker as well. So if he's the better striker, then it's going to be a really long night for Nasrat. But if Nasrat can implement that pressure game, close the distance, attack the body, Arman deny some takedowns, maybe land some big shots, because I do think that he has the power edge, then, maybe he could make it interesting. But overall, I just see, Tsarukyan being able to strike when he wants to, and when he wants to hit that takedown, change it up, make Nasrat keep guessing, and just do his thing, man, and, continue this progression towards the top. I feel like Arman is a very good fighter, so I'm going to go with Tsarukyan here. And, in terms of the line, I'm not sure, but I do think Tsarukyan is a pretty safe play. In this next one, we got Amanda Ribas, possibly the UFC's, fastest rising star here, taking on Marina Rodriguez. And we obviously see kind of what they're trying to do here, because Marina Rodriguez, she's a very, very good striker, but we've seen what she's had issues with throughout her career, especially throughout her UFC career, and that's grapplers, man. She's coming off a loss to Carla Esparza, who's obviously, first UFC champion in that division, known as one of the best wrestlers for all female MMA. She just couldn't stop the takedown in that one. When she fought Cynthia Calvillo, couldn't stop the takedown. Ended up getting a 10-8. But she had a draw in that fight. Randa Marcos, she got 10-8 in the first round, won the last two. So, she's really struggled with these grapplers. And, with Amanda Ribas, I feel like she's just going to struggle in this fight because Marina Rodriguez, she has fairly good striking. She controls distance well. She's definitely going to be the better striker. Really good kicks. In the clinch, she's ruthless, man. Really good knees, elbows. But she doesn't really have great composure in terms of controlling distance. She crashes the distance a lot with straight punches. She, invites the clinch because she's good there. And I just think that Ribas is going to be the much stronger girl. The only way I could see Marina being effective if she can get the leg kicks off really early and force Ribas to get desperate, get her in some exchanges and touch her chin, and then maybe she could hurt her. But Ribas, I feel like she's a better striker. She's bigger, and she's more athletic than some of the girls that Marina's already allowed to get on the inside and hit takedowns on her, like Cynthia Calvillo and Randa Marcos. So I do think that Ribas, even though her striking maybe is a little bit of work in progress, she is long for the division. She's going to have a reach advantage here again, and she's good at moving her head, slipping and ripping, and using her striking to get into that clinch, man, where she has really good takedown. She's very physical. You see Marina Rodriguez make a lot of mistakes with her takedown defense in the clinch. I think Ribas is going to be able to get on the inside, hit those takedowns, and once she gets on top, Marina Rodriguez, man, she looks like a fish out of water on the ground. She doesn't look very good. I think Ribas is going to be able to do what she wants, gets the dominant position, and really dominate the fight. This obviously isn't a girl like Paige Van Zandt or anything like that. So, I feel like Ribas is going to probably respect the striking a little bit early on. But I do think once she gets it to the ground, she does have a chance to finish quickly like she did Paige. I just feel like she can get into a dominant position, finish with ground and pound, or finish with the submission potentially. Marina, like I said, she has a small win path to me because I don't think she's going to be able to keep that range. So I think when they get in the clinch, Ribas is going to be able to do what she wants. And unless Marina can land a knockout, which is very unlikely, I just see Ribas winning the fight either via decision or more than likely what I think is going to happen is she's going to be able to find that finish on the ground. So give me Amanda Ribas here. I think she's definitely going to win the fight. Man, this is a banger right here with Matt Frevola taking on Ottman Azaitar. And for Ottman Azaitar, he's going to be looking to continue his undefeated run, move closer to that UFC title. He's 13-0, 2-0 in the UFC. He has two fantastic knockouts, and he's won his last 5 fights in a row by knockout, so he has to be extremely confident right now. He's just super dangerous, explosive, especially in that first round. 10 first-round knockouts, and he's only been to one decision in his career. Very powerful but wild striker. He's aggressive, throws a lot of volume. He'll throw a lot of 1-2s. He has a good jab overhand right. He'll throw leaping left hooks to the body, to the head. Really nice left hook to the body to right hooks to the head combinations. And he throws a lot of volume. When he gets hit, he just returns. And I've seen him drop several times. But, he's a dog, man. When he gets hurt, he comes forward. Big knockout power, nice low kicks, good round kicks, good front kicks. And, like I said, at times it can get sloppy, but his power gets him out of trouble, man. And, he, has just been able to just knock all these guys out really brutally. Like that Kama Worthy knockout was pretty sick. So he's improving on his technique as well. So he's going to continue to become a better and better striker. And his grappling is okay. He has good single and double legs. In the clinch, he has nasty knees to the body. He looks physical, and he'll try to hit doubles, body locks. And on top, he's very aggressive, good ground and pound. He has a good front headlock position, good guillotine. But, he isn't super dangerous with his jiu-jitsu. And his 2 fights that did go to the third round, he did rely a lot on his wrestling and top control to win, which I don't really think he's going to have that avenue in this fight. His takedown defense is okay. And, I have seen him taken down and controlled. But, he's scrappy. He will try to return back up to his feet. He has good cardio. he fights at a crazy pace, and he has the ability to get hurt and recover. So he's a fun, wild finisher, someone that's going to be fun to watch. And, his opponent, Matt Frevola, is a perennial underdog, looking to spring the upset once again here. And, it's going to be the first time Frevola's fought outside the United States, so that's something that you have to look into a little bit. But he's been the underdog in his last 3 fights, and he's been unbeaten in all 3 of those fights. He, is the definition of a grinder. He's a dog. He's a banger. He's a guy that's very aggressive. He comes forward, throws hard hooks, good straight right hand. He'll double up on it. He shoots a, good single or double leg, and then he'll fake that and then start to come up with that straight right hand. He likes to, throw a nice body kick to straight right hand combination as well. And even end combinations with head kicks. He has decent head movement. He, does get tagged in a lot of his fights. And I feel like his chin maybe isn't the greatest, but he has the ability to get hurt and recover, and he's getting smarter when he gets hurt. He doesn't get wild anymore. He goes to grapple, and he's a good grappler, man. He has good timing on his level changes. He, is going to be shooting double, single legs, keeping the pressure, trying to make the cage small. And he's not the best in the jiu-jitsu realm, but he does have good control, and he will look for front chokes as well himself. His submission defense is good as well. And I do feel like if he can get on top of a guy like Azaitar, he's going to be able to control him. And I actually am going to go with Matt Frevola in this one. I think it's a close fight, but I think if Azaitar can't get that first shot knockout, Frevola is going to be able to start getting in his face. And I think Frevola might actually be the more durable fighter. I think he's going to be the bigger guy in there. And I see him being able to hit takedowns after he gets his striking going a little bit. So I feel like Frevola is going to come in here, do what he does, push a pace, win a decision, and get the win here. So it's going to be a good one. I do think Ottman Azaitar has a chance to get a first-round knockout. But if he doesn't do that, I'm going to go with Matt Frevola. So that's going to be my pick here. Up next here, we got Jessica Eye taking on Joanne Calderwood, and this is a close fight. This is a fight that's hard to predict here, but I'm actually gonna, probably go with JoJo here. I think that when you look at it, Jessica Eye, I don't really feel like she's as into it as Joanne Calderwood. I know for a fact that JoJo, she came into this camp, she took it real serious. She's kind of pissed off that she lost her title fight in her last fight. So I think she's going to be in good shape. She's already came over here to Abu Dhabi, fought Andrea Lee, had a good victory here, pushed the pace. And Jessica Eye, she's, missed weight her last 2 fights. Didn't look good against Calvillo, kind of got tired. And when you look at it, both these girls have kind of more struggled with grapplers throughout their career, like a lot of their losses. But the reason why I'm going to go with JoJo, even though I think it's a close fight, it's going to be boxing against kicking. And on the inside, Joanne, obviously, I feel like has the advantage with the Muay Thai, with the elbows, with the knees. So, but I think Joanne has the better cardio. I think she's going to throw the more output. When you look at it, she definitely throws a lot more output on average. And I also think JoJo is the more likely girl to mix it up, look for takedowns, get on top. And I don't necessarily think that she will get anything out of that necessarily in terms of like progressing position or getting a finish or putting damage on Jessica Eye, but it does get points. And like I said, she's already fought here in Abu Dhabi, so I think that's another thing that helps JoJo as well. Also, when you look at it, Joanne Calderwood has been much more successful in the UFC in decisions. So when you put all those things together, it's a close fight. One girl throws more output. One girl, I feel like, is probably going to be coming in with a better mindset, even though that's kind of more of an assumption. One girl throws, I feel like the harder shots. I think that Joanne probably is the more of a knockout threat. I think Joanne has probably the better wrestling, and she is probably going to be the one that's a little bit willing to dig a little bit deeper. So that's why I'm going to go with Joanne Calderwood, but can't blame anyone for going with Jessica Eye. That's a real close fight. And so we're going to move on to the co-main event on this. That's going to be Dan Hooker taking on Mike Chandler. And man, this is a sick freaking fight, man. I mean, Dan Hooker welcoming Mike Chandler into the UFC. This is a guy that, people have known about for a long time. But Dan Hooker, he's coming off of a loss. But to me, it's probably, one of the better performances of his career. And he got one of the biggest spots of his career being the co-main event of the Conor McGregor card, welcoming one of the biggest free agents in recent memory to the UFC in Michael Chandler. And if he can go out there and meld Chandler, I mean, you'll be right back in the mix for the title. As a striker, I mean, Dan Hooker, he has a great jab, great straight right hand. He uses great movement angles. He keeps fighters on the end of his punches, switches stances, and he could jab off both stances. He's real tricky. He also switch stance mid-combination, throw straight punches when he sees angles to catch opponents coming in. He was able to overwhelm Burns with his precision. He hurt him early, finished him with that left hook. He sniped and took out James Vick in round 1. Hooker, he has great kicks, man. Nice leg kicks. He really battered the legs of Dustin Poirier. Great round kicks, snap kicks to the body. Nice head kicks. He battered the legs of Iaquinta really badly as well. Iaquinta could barely stand up. And Hooker has a, really nice snap front kick up the middle. He'll also throw that lead knee that he knocked out Ross Pearson, Jim Miller with. And he's a veteran. I mean, he does a great job of picking up the pace as the fight goes on, pressuring, knowing what shots to throw. But Hooker is a guy that, he likes a war, and his defense necessarily isn't always there. I mean, if you watch that fight with Dustin Poirier, I mean, they're in the pocket exchanging, huge bombs. If you've seen his fight with Edson Barbosa, he's taking huge damage in that fight with, leg kicks, body kicks, and he's potentially maybe a little bit weak to the body, which Michael Chandler is very good at attacking the body. So that's something that you have to take into account. But also, Chandler, to attack the body, has to make himself susceptible to those knees and those, counter shots over the top. So it's a give and take there. But Hooker is a solid grappler, but he's not really an offensive wrestler, even though in his last couple fights, he has shown that, hey, I could take these guys down. He took down Paul Felder. He took down Dustin Poirier 3-4 times. And his takedown defense is pretty good, man. I mean, he hasn't been taken down in a long time. I don't really see him going for takedowns in this fight, obviously. But, he can counter takedowns with guillotines. And it's a great squeeze. So he's going to be hard to take down. If he does get taken down, he's going to be hard to hold down. But Michael Chandler, man, he's going to be making his UFC debut in what's his 30th pro fight. He already had an illustrious career in Bellator. He's getting a huge hype before he even enters the octagon. And he was already the alternate for a world title fight. So if he could beat Dan Hooker, I think he's going to get a title shot personally. Chandler, I mean, he's 34 years old, but still looks like he's developing. He's getting better. Since his loss to Will Brooks, which was in 2014, he only has 2 losses. And one of his losses, Primus, was where he got kicked with that low calf kick. And, it was kind of not fluky, but, unlucky loss there. His other loss, he got clipped very early against Patricio Pitbull and got knocked out. And, Michael Chandler, he's a superb wrestler. But, he's rounded out his striking a little bit. His striking is dangerous. He's extremely aggressive, throws hammers, very fast, explosive. He's good at staying light on his feet, feinting, bouncing in and out, then exploding in with shots. He has a decent jab, but that's not really going to be relevant in this fight. He has a nasty straight right hand. He loves to throw a straight right, left hook combination. He's excellent when fighters lean back to get out of the way of the straight right, leaping in with the left hook, touching them when they don't see it coming. He's very explosive, closes the distance super quickly. He's good at switching stances, and he landed a switch stance straight left hand that knocked out Benson Henderson in their last fight. He's uses body shots to set up his level changes very well. You saw against Sydney Outlaw, he was ripping the body, and that actually opened up that straight right hand to the head. Chandler has nice kicks as well, good round kicks to the legs, to the body, but he will overextend on his punches. He really, falls into his straight right hand, and he can get hit with counters. He also can load up and fighters can touch him with a jab or straight shot, make him reset. He's had issues with low kicks. And I feel like his chin isn't really the greatest as well. And when you watch his fight with Benson Henderson, he struggled with those knees to the body, man, which if you're struggling with knees from Benson Henderson, I mean, Dan Hooker may be able to do something with those knees too. So, but Michael Chandler, man, he's a beast. He's an NCAA Division I All-American. He's integrated his wrestling into his MMA game very well. His main takedown is power double, but he will come forward and hit single legs as well. Really amazing level changes, man. He hides them behind his flurries very well. Very fast, explosive. He has decent takedowns in the clinch. And when he gets on top, he has very good control. He doesn't mind hanging out inside opponent's guards, just winning rounds, chipping away. He's very hard to get up from under bottom, and he throws some big elbows. He has elite scrambling ability and takedown defense as well. In this fight, I don't think he's going to have to deal with that, but that's always why he's been an intriguing matchup for Khabib. And Chandler, he's going to need to be careful how he level changes against Dan Hooker, but if you can get it on the legs safely, you should have an advantage in the wrestling. Chandler, he isn't a big submission threat, but he has a few rear naked chokes, arm triangles. He's never been submitted, and his cardio is pretty solid, but he fights at such a high, wild pace that he does get tired. He's very explosive and uses a lot of kinetic energy. And I do feel like this is a close fight, but I feel like Chandler needs to get it done earlier. He's going to start to accumulate a lot of damage, man, because I do think that Dan Hooker's way sharper. I think the jab is going to be touching Michael Chandler a lot. I think Chandler, he's not going to be able to overextend with those body shots or with the straight right, because if he does, Hooker's going to be there with the counters, and I think he could stun and hurt Chandler. I also think the leg kicks are going to add up really quickly for Dan Hooker, so I think Chandler needs to either land one of those big, nuclear missiles that he throws, that straight right hand bomb, the left hook, and, knock Dan Hooker out, which Dan Hooker has shown to be super durable. So I think that's going to be hard to do, or he's going to have to really be able to just out-wrestle him and grind him out for 3 rounds, which I just think it's going to be hard for him to get in on the legs and hit takedowns like that. So it's possible Michael Chandler comes in here and takes him down for 3 rounds, but more than likely I see it playing out on the feet a lot. And I think Chandler's going to have his moments. I think he's going to land a lot of big shots himself, especially early in the fight. But I see Dan Hooker starting to land those leg kicks. He's going to land, check hooks. He's going to land shots when Chandler's trying to come in, like the jab, things like that, straights, touch him. And I think eventually Chandler's going to either get knocked out or he's just going to start to slow down and Dan Hooker's going to take over the fight, win a dominant decision. So I'm going to go with Dan Hooker in this one to get the win. Oh, man. And finally, we got the main event here, man. We got Dustin Poirier taking on Conor McGregor. This is going to be a rematch here. Obviously, they fought quite a few years ago. At this point, they fought at a different weight class. I think it's going to be, a way different fight. But, man, super interesting, right? Because we have Conor McGregor back. And, everyone, the narrative now is, he's motivated. He's ready to go. He's, last year was the same type of talk, right? Where he wanted to fight, a lot of times in the same year and stay active, stay motivated, and didn't materialize last year. I mean, he only fought the one time against Donald Cerrone, but, he does at least look like he's trying to at least shed that image a little bit of the talking shit and all that. He's not really doing that anymore, so, I'm not sure what type of or why he's going with that type of game plan now, but that's kind of what he's been doing recently. And he's just been not that active recently, whereas, Dustin Poirier, he's been fighting the best of the best guys. He's been defeating the best of the best guys in the division. I mean, his only loss in recent years are to, Michael Johnson, where he got, clipped in the first round, and then to Khabib, man, who Conor McGregor also has that recent loss too. So both these guys have been in the mix. They've been, UFC champions. So, I mean, man, this is going to be an epic fight right here. And, I mean, could it go down like the first fight where Conor McGregor just knocks him out in the first round, in the first 2 minutes? I mean, it is a possibility because we do see Dustin Poirier struggle with southpaws, man. You saw it again in his fight with Dan Hooker. That first round, he was getting lit up. Second round, he's getting lit up. But I don't know if it's going to be that easy this time, man, because Dustin, I think at 155, he's more durable. And, I think that he's a smarter guy at this stage of his career, because I do think when he fought Conor the first time, obviously he was all tensed up. He was really trying to, get in there and get a finish, get a knockout. And I think that, he might have fought kind of reckless. Whereas in this fight, I think he's going to be way calmer, more composed. I mean, you see him in the fight with Dan Hooker getting hit with huge shots, and he's talking to the corner. He's, being very, very just, not nonchalant, but just super calm, and he's just in the moment. Whereas, you see in other fights, he can get overwhelmed a little bit. I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen in this one. And obviously, there was that controversy a little bit in the last fight with if the shot was behind the head and stuff like that. So, they're going to be able to figure it all out here. But, man, I mean, the narrative is always right. If you can extend Conor in those later rounds, if you can get him in more grappling exchanges, get him to use energy, then that's your path